Okay, so today we're going to talk about basically a continuation of what we did yesterday. So we're going to talk about what do we do when things are not on the unit circle exactly, but we still have a point. And we're also going to talk about something new, which is reference angles, and just kind of review things for some things. So kind of like how to use your calculator and unit circle stuff. So first we're going to find the values of the 6 trig functions of theta by finding a point on the line. So this is taking right after what we left off from yesterday. Okay, so if you're given a line and you're given what quadrant it's in, you're going to have to find a point that's on that line. It doesn't matter what point you use, okay, but you're going to have to find a point. So what we're going to do is we're basically going to have to graph this equation to find a point on the line. Then it also tells me we want to pick a point that's in quadrant 3. Okay, so in order to graph this line, we're going to have to solve this for y. So if I want to solve this for y, the first thing I would do would be subtract 2x. I know you can just add y, but one on the left. So subtract 2x, and then I would divide by -1. So then I get y equals 2x. So if I want to graph this, well, my y-intercept is 0, and my slope is 2, so I go up 2, right 1, or I could go down 2, left 1. Okay, since I want a point that's in quadrant 3, this is my point in quadrant 3. Now, if you want to find another point, go down 2, left 1 again, that's fine. I would just go with the first point you see. So this point is -1, -2. Okay, then it takes off just like what we did yesterday. So you have your x, you have your y, now we gotta find our r. So this is my x, this is my y. To find r, do the square root of x squared plus y squared. So this would be the square root of 1 plus 4, which is the square root of 5. And then we're going to find all 6 trig functions. So sine is equal to y over r. So -2 over square root of 5. Okay, but we can't leave that as our answer, so we're going to have to rationalize it. So we're going to multiply by square root of 5. So sine is -2 square root of 5 over 5. Okay, then cosine, that's x over r. So that'd be -1 over square root of 5. Same thing, can't leave that as your answer, so we're going to rationalize it. So we're going to multiply by square root of 5. So this would be -square root of 5 over 5. Okay, tangent is equal to y over x. So -2 over -1, which would be 2. Okay, then the other 3 are reciprocals. So cosecant, if I do the reciprocal of this, go back before you rationalized it. So this would be -square root of 5 over 2. Secant, back before I rationalized it, I flipped this would be -square root of 5. And then cotangent, that reciprocal of 2 would be 1/2. So it's just like what we did yesterday, except for you have to find what the point is by graphing this line. Okay, and then something new we're going to talk about are reference angles. Reference angles, which you will see if we have theta, it's going to be like that prime symbol at the top. That stands for reference angle. Okay, it's an acute angle, so acute means it has to be less than 90, formed by the terminal side of the angle in the horizontal axis. So I'm going to show you an angle in each quadrant so that you can see what the reference angle will be. Now, there's no reference angle in quadrant 1 because everything in quadrant 1 is less than 90. So if it's in quadrant 2, this will be a quadrant 2, so let's say this is our angle. So our angle is here. The reference angle is from the horizontal axis to that. This is your reference angle. Okay, and your reference angle is always positive. If it's in quadrant 3, so that is your angle. Your reference angle is taking you back up to the closest horizontal axis, which is there. Okay, and then in quadrant 4, that's your angle, and then this would be your reference angle. Okay, how do you find it? Well, in quadrant 2, you're going to take 180 degrees, or that's the same thing as pi, and you're going to subtract your angle. In quadrant 3, since your angle is bigger than 180 or pi, then you're going to take your angle minus 180, or if it's in radians, minus pi. And then in quadrant 4, the closest thing back to that would be 360, so you would take 360 minus your angle, which in radians, that would be 2 pi. Okay, so now we're going to find the reference angle, and we're going to sketch the angle and the reference angle in standard position. You do not need to use a protractor. Estimating is fine. Okay, so 203 degrees. First off, figure out what quadrant that's in. So that's in quadrant 3. So in quadrant 3, it says we're going to take our angle minus either 180 degrees or pi. Well, since this is in degrees, I would take my angle minus 180 degrees. Okay, when you do that, that's going to give you your reference angle. So my reference angle is 23 degrees. Okay, then if I want to sketch it in standard position, you're always going to start here. And if you don't want to draw the quadrants on there, that's fine. Which it might be easier for a lot of you because you're on notebook paper. You want to just do, okay, here's my starting point. I know it's going to be in quadrant 3, kind of close to 180, so it's probably like this. That's my angle, which means this is my reference angle. So if you don't want to draw it on a coordinate plane, that's fine. Just make sure, remember, standard position always starts like at the 0 degree line. Okay, then we're going to do one with radians. So 2 pi over 3, so I figure out what quadrant that's in. Well, that's like 2/3. right, if you're thinking about it. And at the top is a half, and here's 1, so I know it's in quadrant 2. So this will look like in quadrant 2. And it says I'm going to take 180 or pi minus the angle. Well, since this is in radians, we're going to take pi minus the angle. So that'd be like 1 minus 2/3, which is 1/3. So that would be pi over 3. Okay? If you want to sketch with coordinate plane, you can. If you want to sketch without, that's fine. I'll sketch this one with. So 2 pi over 3 is approximately there. That's my angle. Then this is my reference angle. Reference angle always has a little like apostrophe. It's called prime. Okay, from the outside. Okay, so in this part we're going to find the indicated trig value in the specified quadrant. So you're going to be given a trig value, sine, cosine, tangent, cosecant, secant, or cotangent. Then you're going to be given the quadrant, and then you're going to be given what you're going to find. So in this one we're trying to find cosine. Okay? Now, everything's dealing with things that are non-unit circles, so you're thinking x, y, and r. So if I'm in quadrant 4, that means x is positive and y is negative. And if I'm given sine, well, I know sine is y over r. And you know r can never be negative, and you know y has to be negative because it's in quadrant 4. So I know y is negative 3, and I know r is 5. So if I want to find the cosine, I need x over r. Well, I'm missing my x, so this is when you're going to use your r equation to find it. So 5 equals square root of x squared plus negative 3 squared. So I have 5 equals the square root of x squared plus 9. Get rid of a square root, we're going to square both sides. So this would be 25 equals x squared plus 9. Subtract 9. 16 equals x squared. And then do your square root. So x could either be positive or negative 4. But since it's in quadrant 4, we know x has to be positive 4. So if I'm finding cosine, cosine's x over r, that means my cosine is 4/5. So you're only finding one value, but a lot of times you have to find all three things to be able to find that one value. Okay, so this time again, cosecant. Now it's in quadrant 4, and I need to find cotangent. Okay, well, cosecant is the reciprocal of sine. So if I know sine is y over r, and cosecant is r over y. Okay? Well, in order to have a whole number, that means you need to divide by 1. But in quadrant 4, x pi is positive, y is negative. So if I'm putting these in here, I know r has to be 2 and y has to be negative 1. R can never be negative. Okay? So I'm going to use the r equation to solve for x, and I need cotangent, which is x over y. So I have to find x before I can finish solving. So r equals the square root of x squared plus y squared. So x squared plus negative 1 squared. So 2 equals the square root of x squared plus 1. Square both sides. So 4 equals x squared plus 1. Subtract 1, so I have 3 equals x squared. So then I would do the square root. And I know it can be positive or negative, but since this is in quadrant 4, it tells me x is positive. So if I do x over y, this would be square root of 3 over negative 1, which means my answer would be negative square root of 3. Okay, for this part, you're going to want to use your unit circle. Okay, why did I say that? Well, because all these are on your unit circle, and most of you don't have that memorized yet. Okay? When it says get 2 answers, that means whatever you're trying to find is going to occur in 2 places. Okay? 2 different quadrants or on 2 different axes, okay? And you're going to find the answer in degrees and radius, which means you're actually going to have 4 total answers. Okay, so what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to find where is tangent 1. Well, in order for tangent to be 1, that means x and y have to be exactly the same. So if you look at your unit circle, that happens at 45 degrees because if you have square root of 2 over square root of 2 over 2 and square root of 2 over 2. And it also happens at 135 degrees because at 135 degrees they're both negative. When you divide 2 negatives, it makes a positive. So those are your 2 answers, and you also want to have those in radians. So this would be pi over 4, and this would be 5 pi over 4. And then those will be your answers. Okay, so your sine and cosine are easy because they're x and y. Tangent, that's when you take y divided by x. Okay? Now, if you're given, like, we're going to do cosecant. Okay, so cosecant is the reciprocal of sine. So what I would do is I find the reciprocal of this so you know what sine is, because sine is the y value on your unit circle. So if I want to find sine, means I'm going to flip this, so I would have 3 over 2 square root of 3. And I'm going to rationalize it. So I have 3 square root of 3 over 6, which would be square root of 3 over 2. Okay, so sine is your y, so you want to look at your unit circle and you want to find where all the y's are square root of 3 over 2. Okay, well if y has to be positive, that means we're going to be in quadrant 1 and quadrant 2. So if you look at your unit circle, you would see that's at 60 degrees and 120 degrees. Okay, those are your degrees. So then I put those in radians. This is pi over 3 and 2 pi over 3. Okay, that will get you through every last bit of the homework on 318. And on Wednesday and Thursday, we're going to review for your test on Friday.